So we are going to do a really simple 9 patch by Fabric Cafe, but we're going to zhuzh it up a bit. And all I mean is that instead of using 3 fabrics, I'm going to use 4. I have this blue and this lavender pastel colors here. And I'm going to use them for the fabric number 2. So I'm going to split whatever it says fabric number 2, however many strips I need to cut for that. I'm going to use some blue and I'm going to use some purple. I'm going to use the pink for the fabric number 1, and I'm going to use the fabric number 3 is going to be my darkest. It's going to be this gray. Let's get to it. All right, so we've got all of our strips cut out. We have this is going to be our fabric number 1. This is everything for the fabric number 2. This is going to be the tiny border that goes on the inside. So because I chose this to be the border, I only grabbed 2 of these and then 3 of these, because you need 5 total strips to make the 9 patch. Then this is going to be the actual border, and this right here will be the fabric number 3 for our 9 patch. So basically I am going to start grabbing strips. So it'll be something like, oh, it's going to be a pattern, and I will show us exactly what it's going to be right now. We're going to grab 2 fabric number 1s and 1 3. I was a little concerned about this up against this, but because I want this to push into the background anyway, this is just kind of, I'm building a base for my applique, not a big deal. So we're going to grab 2 of these and just sew them on the long side. Oh, actually, that's going to be pretty. My mother came in and she was like, that's a lot of pink, because I am not a pink girl, but this is definitely going to be a pinkish kind of quilt. So I'm going to grab 1 set of those. So I need 2 of these. So we're going to grab 2 of this set, just like this. This has got 2 fabric number 1s and 1 fabric number 3 on the inside. And I'm going to need another one of those. So we'll grab 2 and then 1 here. And we'll just lay it that way so we don't get confused. Then I need to make 2 of the B1s. So I'm going to grab a fabric number 2. Actually, I'm going to grab 2 fabric number 2. So I'm going to grab this right here. And in order for this to look like a 9 patch, we're going to have to stay consistent in the 9 patch. So what I mean is, instead of grabbing 1 purple and 1 blue, which you totally can do, this is your design, I'm going to stick to grabbing the 2 that match. And then I need to grab a number 1. So this one is going to go this way and this way. And this is going to be a set. And I need 2 of these sets. So we're going to grab 2 of these blue and another 1 of these pink. And this is going to be a set. And I'm just going to lay this one like this so that I can grab it. And now I need to make the other one. So now I'm going to grab 2 of these and 1 fabric number 1. So I've got 2 3s and 1 number 1. Oh, I like that one. I like that set. And then the last one is going to be 2 1s and 1 2. And I'm going to sew all these together on the long side. I'll show you guys what that looks like in just a second. all of our strip sets have been sewn. Do not freak out. This is not rocket science. I promise you it's not. All I did was, instead of having 3 fabrics, now I have 4 fabrics. For the fabric number 2, I used 2 different colors. That's the only thing that makes this kind of a little different and interesting. That's it. Everything else is okay. So it tells us in the pattern how to put the strip sets together. The numbers are indicating your fabric color. So for the first one, I have 2 fabric number 1s, which is the pink one, and 1 3 on the inside. The next one, I have 2 fabric number 2s on the outside and 1 number 1. It's the same thing for the purple underneath. Not a big deal. Then we have 1 of these, which has 2 fabric number 3s and 1 number 1, and then 2 of fabric number 1 and 1 2 on the inside. It tells you right here. Now where this is going to get interesting is when you actually put them together. Now I know that Donna just has everybody press everything open. It makes stuff lay super flat and you don't have to think about where your seams are. But I like my seams to nest whenever I can, and there's no reason why I can't make this quilt have nesting seams. And the reason why I do that is I believe that it's stronger. I know some long armors won't even take quilts with all the seams pressed open. It's just, some people believe that it's a weaker seam. So if you're going to do that, make sure you shorten your stitch length. But anyway, all that to say, I'm going to make these nest. So here I know that I need 2 of this one. So this is the number 1 and the 3. I think I'm going to press that with the seams going outward. So this is this for this block right here. It's got the 1s and the 3s. I'm going to press them going this way. I'm just going to make the seams go out that way. Which means for the one that goes inside that, which is the 3 1 3, so this is this one right here, I'm going to press the seams going this way. If this is too confusing for you, I completely understand, and I would suggest you just going ahead and press them open. But I'm going to actually take a little bit more time and figure out which direction I want to press the seams, just so that they nest. So when here, you would think that I would do the same thing and just press these out, but no, because this is going to be bumped up against that, I'm going to take this guy, which is the 2 1 2, and I'm going to press them going inward. That way you have some that are going out, in, out, in, out, in. Just that simple. Let's get to it. So these are all pressed now. We've got these going to the inside. Both of these are going to the inside, and then this one here is going toward the outside. And I need to make 12 full blocks, so I need to get 12 out of each one of these strips. And we are going to do what's called subcutting. So I'm going to grab this guy here. And I am going to take off that selvage, which is not usable. Actually, I'm going to start from this side where they all line up. No rhyme or reason, just, I don't know, just did it. So I'm just going to put this on the line and make sure it looks good. And let's take off this selvage. So we've taken off the selvage. We're going to find the measurement that we need, and we're just going to line it up, and we are going to subcut. And again, we're trying to get 12 of these out of here. So hopefully we will be able to get 12, if not more. So you do get 12. You know, you don't have a whole bunch to spare. There are some people who would probably stack these one on top of another and then just cut them. I will not, because I've met myself, and that's a great way to mess up everything. So I'm going to take my time. There are 6 panels, and I'm just going to cut them slowly. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to practice some mindfulness, and then after that I'll come together and sew them on up. So because of the way that I cut these, I just went down the strip and then I stacked them. They're in a very similar order, and I was debating how I was going to sew them together. You see all the reds are right here. The next one's going to be the green, so on and so forth. I'm going to actually keep them in this order just to keep some kind of continuity going and try to see if I can't just kind of keep it similar so that it's not so much jumping all around. And as I'm looking at this, I'm wondering, oh yeah, okay, I see how I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to keep the color sets together. Let me show you what I mean. So I can see that this is a red right here. It's kind of red to yellow. So I'm going to grab that red to yellow. I'm going to count down 1, 2, and probably the third one will be another red to yellow. So I'm going to put these on the outside, and then here's a kind of a red yellow mix right here. So this is going to be a block. Then I'm going to grab these greens and this blue. So we'll grab a green and a blue, and then we'll go down and we'll grab another green to the blue, and we're going to put this one right here, just so that the color scheme is kind of similar. Just, it's not perfect, but it's similar. So we've got purples next. So we've got purple block here, and then a purple block here. Then we'll do it all over again with the reds. Red here. We're going to count down 1, 2, and this will probably be a red to a purple, and it is. And I don't know why it works out like that. It just does. And then we will grab this blue here. And then this one here, this will go here. It's got the oranges to the greens. And that's going to go here. And then the last ones are some more purples and blues. So this will be all the blocks, and I can just pull them nice and easily and sew them all up. So now that I have them in some orders and everything is kind of all cut up, I am going to grab them and just start piecing them together. The seams do nest. They go in the opposite directions. So this seam is going this way, this seam is going that way, and so I'm just going to pin. This probably isn't one where I really need to pin, at least this one, because it's so busy you probably can't see it, but just for good measure I'll pin, just because, why not, and get to piecing. So make sure that you are being careful, because you want to open this up, make sure that it's where it's supposed to be, and then we are going to sew this one to this side, because this right here is a very different quilt than if it's over here. So just be careful. And we'll do this, and I'll throw a pin in there. Maybe I'll do this one without pinning and see what happens. See if that makes it go any faster. Yeah, you really don't have to pin for these. I mean, it is kind of what it is. It's not a huge deal. This is so, again, it's so busy that you really can't see if all your points are not lining up perfectly. Mine look pretty good right here. This one's a touch off, but not enough for anybody to notice. I've sewn all of my blocks together in the rows. Now I need to sew all the rows together. Just some tips. Make sure you lock your stitch when you're starting and stopping. If you're pressing your seams open, make sure you shorten your stitch length. And also, when you have blocks like this where one is one and one is a little different, I know if I used a different colorway, these would appear very different, but these two are different blocks, and you put them in the rows, always press toward one of the blocks. So I've chosen to always press toward the pastel block. So if it has pastels right here, I'm going to press towards that on the end. So when I sew these together right here, you can see it's going that way, and that way I will have nesting seams. So now I'm going to grab another row and then pin it. Okay, so I'm looking at my pattern, making sure that I have this correctly. This is not. This goes over here. I went ahead and put my purples in a specific pattern going through the quilt. And so now, because I've pressed them all toward the pastels, so you see this one right here was all pressed this way. And this is just for the blocks that have been joined here. The blocks here were pressed differently, but all that worked out perfectly also to be sure that everything nested together. So now I'm just going to line these up. And these two seams here should nest. That one's going that way, this one's going this way. Throw a pin in them and then just put together all the rows, and then we'll do the border. So all the pieces have been cut out and backed with interfacing. I used charcoal colored interfacing on the back of the black and on the back of the white. On the back of the colored stuff is just the white. And so now I just need to sew them all down. So the first thing I'm going to do is take these pieces and I'm going to tape them together to make a big pattern. And then I'm going to trace this pattern on the fabric, which will have interfacing and fusible on it.
You say take me on a treasure hunt. I long for something new. Have you heard the fairies when they sing and dance? It was me every night. When I close my eyes, I see beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know it, so I trust you when you say that beauty lives in me.
Okay, now I have the fabric, the interfacing, and the fusible web on here. I flipped Hello Kitty over so she's face down. And now I'm going to trace her and then cut her out.
I promise you that we learn through the wrongs, and even the rough can be sweet. Just close your eyes and know beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know.
So I have done just about everything wrong you can do on a quilt. And really what I should have done is assembled the whole back piece, that black piece, together using a zigzag stitch. And then on top of it, I should have done these accent applique pieces and then after the entire kitty was completed, then I should have appliqued it down to the quilt. That is the major fault here. I mean, that's a big oops, because this is such a big applique. It's such a pain in the butt, and I'm having to really wrangle this quilt, and it's causing me I'm just annoyed. It's taking more time than it should. I'm just annoyed. But anyway, one of the things that I am enjoying is applique, because I do like to do a nice blanket stitch. And so in order not to just be crumpling this over and over and over and over again, because I'm not actually quilting the applique, I am going to use the needle shooting to the left, and I'm going to use a needle shooting to the right for this side over here, just to make it a little bit easier, faster, easier, and so that I'm just not wrangling this quilt constantly, because even though it's a throw size, it's still pretty big, especially in this area where I'm quilting. So I'm just going to keep going.
That beauty lives in me It's gonna take some time to get there. I don't care. I'm in for the fight. But I know that beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know it, so I trust you when you say that beauty lives in me too. Beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know it, so I trust you when you say
So you guys, this is how I should have constructed the entire Hello Kitty. See how this is in two different pieces? That black part of the Hello Kitty, I should have taken this, and it's got interfacing on it. I'm going to zigzag stitch this entire thing here to secure it. Then I'm going to put on the next layer, and then I'm going to put on the third layer and sew those all together before ever putting it on the quilt, and then stitching it down on the quilt. And I think I'm going to have much faster, much better results. So I just zigzagged this with mono poly because that was what was in the machine. I didn't even try to do anything any different. Black on the bottom, mono on the top. And I just started here and went down, and then came back here and went that direction, just to be sure that this lined up as perfect as I can get it. And it did. It lined up really, really well. So now I'm going to take this piece and put it over here, and the other piece, and put it here, and just tack these down, probably with a locking stitch. And then we are going to keep going. Change my mind. I'm going to do a little bit of basting, and then I'm going to set it with an iron, and then I'm going to do my locking stitches. Lock stitch this guy right here, and on my machine I have lock stitch, so I'm just going to go around and just hit it a couple of times, and we should be good. I still have this mono poly in, so if I can grab it, I'm just going to go around and just lock it so that it doesn't come off a few times. It looks like it's not moving, but it is. It's got super like micro movements. And I'm going to try to stay where I know that the black outline is going to cover. This is also how I did the Beauty and the Beast quilt without anybody seeing the stitches. You just do a couple of these lock stitches and it will lock it up for you, just so that it doesn't move. I'm just gonna do, ooh, that just isn't even on anything. Here we go. There we go. I'm gonna do a couple of these, not a lot, just want to be sure that this doesn't come off. It's shifting. And because it's monopoly, really, you could do this just about anywhere and it's not going to show too bad. Right here, because I see that this is lifting up right there a little bit. And now it won't. Let's do one more right here. I'm so glad I used monopoly to zigzag this. I don't know what I was thinking when I chopped this up, but there is a seam right here where the hole is, where the hole's going to be seen. And so I'm glad that I used monopoly so it's not so noticeable, because I almost switched to black thread. I don't know why I was going to do black thread, but that's probably because it's sitting here. I should have done white thread. That would have been fine, but I was going to do black, and I'm glad that I didn't. And I think we're right back where we started. Perfect. Now I'm going to add the black layer and do the same thing. I'm going to tack it down first, and then it can be added to the quilt.